I pause outside the house, file folder in hand, the ink on the ministry seal already smudged from the drizzle. Spinner's End. The paper says it plainly, as if it were just another address. The report is brief, impersonal. Severus Snape, born 9th of January 1960, deceased 2nd of May 1998, no will, no known relatives. All property is to be assessed and taken possession of by the Department of Magical Estates and Abandoned Holdings in accordance with Ministry Decree 311A. I read the lines again, not because I need to, but because I can't seem to make myself open the door. This is all procedure, I remind myself. I must have catalogued dozens of homes in a similar state. Houses belonging to a witch or wizard who passed and left no heirs to claim their personal belongings. So it would be the ministry's responsibility to take possession, clear any lingering magic, and hopefully be able to sell the home. I run the tip of my wand along the frame, murmuring the standard inspection charm. The faint shimmer of residual magic flickers and fades, thin as cobwebs. Nothing dangerous remains. Note: protective wards detected, non-reactive, presumed dissolved upon caster's death. No further enchantments present. My quill scratches lightly as I write. Facts, nothing more. Otherwise, there is nothing remarkable about the place. A muggle house in a muggle street, with a muggle's air of neglect. The sort of place people forget exists until someone dies. The street is silent, half the windows boarded, the river churning somewhere beyond the row of houses. There's nothing magical about the place. If anything, it seems to resent me for being here. A simple unlocking spell is enough to gain entry. The door sticks at first, but finally gives. And I step inside. The smell hits first. Dust, damp, something faintly metallic, likely old potion residue. The air feels still, thick with disuse. The light barely reaches the hallway, just a narrow strip from the street behind me. A staircase leans to one side, its railing worn smooth. The wallpaper is peeling in long strips. The file says nothing of the man, only the facts. But standing here, surrounded by his silence, I can almost feel him watching. He was older than me by a year, maybe 2. I remember his name whispered in corridors, usually with some measure of mockery or disdain. A Slytherin, dark robes, always on the edges of things. And now, here I am, tasked with cataloguing what remains of him. I take out my quill, balancing the clipboard against my arm. Property inspection, Spinner's End, entry log. I begin, my voice low and professional. Then I hesitate. My words seem to hang there, swallowed by the empty house. I think of the battle, of the things I've read. The accounts that claim he died a hero. It's difficult to reconcile that with the image I remember. The boy with the dark eyes and the dangerous friends. I draw a breath, steady my tone, and write the date at the top of the form. There's work to do. The air feels different once the door closes behind me. It's heavier, as though the house now breathes again after years of holding its breath. The sitting room is cramped, lined with overfull bookshelves, the spines of most volumes cracked and faded. An armchair sits before a dust-covered mantel, fabric fraying at its corners. I make another note. Condition of premises: poor. Furnishings minimal. Extensive accumulation of books, parchment, potion equipment. No evidence of surviving occupants. The walls hum faintly, the aftertaste of old magic. It's strange, knowing the wards are gone. A house like this would once have been sealed tight, impossible to enter without the caster's consent. Now, stripped bare of its protection, it feels exposed, mortal. I glance again at the name on the file. Severus Snape. Whatever power once filled these rooms died with him. The books are the first thing I notice, hundreds of them, perhaps more, packed into every conceivable space. Shelves sag under their weight. A few are stacked in precarious columns on the floor, others left open on the end table, as though he'd only stepped away for a moment. For a long while, I simply stare at them, daunted by the task ahead. I was granted 2 days for the appraisal. It's clear within minutes that will not be enough. Note: personal library extensive. Estimated count exceeds 400 volumes. Request for extension of inspection period likely required. I draw my wand, murmuring a preservation charm before touching the nearest spine. Dust eddies upward, fine as ash. The titles span decades. Mosta Patente potions, magical drafts and remedies, advanced occlumency studies, even Muggle scientific texts on anatomy and chemistry. It surprises me. I'd expected darkness, the sort of books one hides, not this. Discipline. A book lies open beside the armchair, its pages warped by age. His handwriting crawls across the margins, neat, concise, impatient with the author's conclusions. He was still working, still questioning. Observation. Open text, found adjacent to seating area. Marginalia, extensive. Ongoing research implied. Subject displayed continued academic pursuit prior to death. It feels wrong somehow to translate the signs of a mind, his mind, into bureaucratic shorthand. But it's the language I know. I make myself continue. Some of the older volumes are annotated so heavily they've become dialogues, entire arguments conducted between author and reader. Others, untouched for years, have their spines broken from careless overuse. One shelf stands out, pristine, dusted, orderly. Texts on defence, ancient runic theory, even Muggle poetry. These he must have valued differently. There's a sense of reverence here, not just in what he kept, but in how he kept it, the quiet precision, the symmetry. It doesn't fit the picture I remember from school corridors, the boy hunched under his hair, snapping at anyone who dared speak to him. I shake off the thought. Professionalism. Detachment. This is an inventory, not an epitaph. Still, when I step my foot onto the armchair to reach a higher shelf, the cushion gives slightly under my weight, a faint impression that he'd been here not so long ago. One book stands out among the rest. It doesn't belong here, not amid the manuals and treatises and potion catalogues. The spine is soft, cloth-bound, the gold title worn almost smooth with handling. I know the author immediately. I'd written an essay on him once, long ago. A Muggle poet, Tennyson. That in itself is curious. Few wizards of our generation bothered with Muggle literature. I draw the volume carefully from the shelf. The leather sighs as it opens. Something slips loose and flutters to the floor. A photograph. At first I assume it's nothing, a scrap perhaps, or one of the many fragments found in these old houses. But when I stoop to pick it up, the breath leaves me. It's torn clean down the middle. What remains is the image of a young woman, smiling, hair bright, eyes alive with a kind of warmth that feels out of place in this dim room. I know her face. Everyone did. Lily Evans. There's no mistaking it. Even half a photograph is enough. The edges of the tear are old, the paper softened from being handled too often. He'd kept it here, in this book, marking a passage. I glanced down to see the lines it held. Tears, idle tears, I know not what they mean, tears from the depth of some divine despair. I stare at the words, at the faint indentation of his handwriting where he'd underlined a single phrase, dear as remembered kisses after death. My fingers tighten on the edge of the page. It feels indecent to be reading it, to see what he chose to keep, what he couldn't let go of, but I can't quite bring myself to put it back either. Note, personal effects, photograph, unidentified female, used as page marker in Muggle text. Book title, Selected Poems of Tennyson. Condition, handled frequently, to be logged under sentimental possessions. The quill trembles slightly as I write. I tell myself it's the dust.